is a common sense bill. It doesn't do everything that everybody wants, but it moves us in the direction of universal health care coverage in this country, and that's why everybody here fought so hard for it. They're already promising to repeal it. They're actually going to run on a platform of repeal in November. You've been hearing that. And my attitude is, go for it.
The tax hikes, the Medicare cuts, the job-killing mandates, the accounting gimmicks, the backroom deals, we're going to fight to repeal them at every single turn.
President Obama in Iowa today with his version of Bring It On. Here are the latest polls out after the health care bill passed the House. This is Quinnipiac. These are the presidential job approval ratings, and you see not much of a bump after that passage. Approval 45%, disapproval 46%. Also on the question about the health care reform, whether you approve or disapprove, it's still negative, the disapproval at 49%. Also, Rasmussen had a poll out released today about repealing health care reform. 55% say, go ahead, repeal the law that is now the law of the land. So let's bring in our panel. Fred Barnes, executive editor of the Weekly Standard. Mara Liasson, national political correspondent of National Public Radio, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Mara, what about the president starting this sales pitch in Iowa and what the White House is thinking about whether it's an uphill climb to really sell it?
Definitely an uphill climb to sell it. On the other hand, the Quinnipiac poll, which still shows the approval 9 points ahead of, disapproval 9 points ahead of approval, was better than it was the last time Quinnipiac polled. I think it was something like 55-39. So the point is they got a little bounce so far. The big question is, can they turn this into either a reversal or at least even it out? Now, they've been saying for a very long time, and it was part of the sales job to members of Congress, is that once this thing passed, we have a victory. It's the law of the land. There are facts on the ground. That's going to change the political dynamic, and people are going to look at this bill and find all sorts of things they like in it. And that might happen, but we don't know that yet. And we still don't know if we're at the high water mark of the opposition to health care or if it's just going to grow and grow.
Because
I think that's just an open question right now.
There is a possibility it could go the other way, that we find things that the American people find things that they don't like.
Yeah, it's just unclear right now. I mean, there's no doubt that the president got a little bump, and it just happened a couple days ago, but I do think he has a big job because, and it's going to be hard, because a lot of the things that people want don't go into effect right away, and a lot of things people don't want do go into effect right away. And he's going to have to explain why you're going to have to wait for a couple years to get coverage for everybody. But on the other hand, there are some things like having your kids on until they're 26, which actually means a whole lot to a lot of people.
Fred, the repeal effort and what the Republicans are saying and doing right now in the face of this White House effort to sell it.
Just as a note, my son's 25. He has his own insurance. He's not crawling home for my insurance. Now that made me forget your question.
But the repeal. I mean, they're pushing the repeal.
Well, the repeal is going to be a good issue. It's not the only issue Republicans are going to have. They're going to have the economy. They're going to have the corruption in Congress and a lot of issues. But that one looks good, and it particularly looks good right now because of what has happened just in the last couple of days. Remember what was promised by this bill. Health care costs, we bend the curve down. Health insurance, you pay less. You create jobs. Well, we've heard from Medtronic, we've heard from Verizon, we've heard from John Deere, we've heard from Caterpillar, and they're all really saying the same thing, that this is going to cost us plenty of money. Our health care costs are going to go up. Medtronic, which is a medical device manufacturer, slapped with this huge tax in the bill, and they say they may have to cut 1,000 people or more. So we know what's not going to happen already. We're getting a pretty good idea. Look, I've talked to people with small businesses. I haven't talked to a single one who says, gee, I'm going to start hiring now. I'm so happy this is going to cut my health insurance costs, because the opposite is true, and we've seen it with these companies. We're going to hear from many, many more. So the idea, I think, is already dead at the end of the week, palpably. This is going to reduce health care costs, the premiums on your health insurance, and create jobs. All of those are out the window.
Charles.
I think that by the end of the year, the debate will be about where it is now, and the pros and the cons, the people in favor and people against, be roughly the same. And the reason is that the major effects, meaning the higher taxes, the mandates, and then the subsidies on the plus side, really don't kick in for a couple of years, surely not until at least 2011. You have the minor effects, like the one of the slapping attacks on the medical device makers and the loss of jobs. Incidentally, the one place we're going to get a job increase, of course, is in the IRS. There are going to be thousands of agents hired to go after and to enforce the taxes that are killing the business of high-tech companies like Medtronics, who then have to end up laying off high-tech workers. Not exactly a trade-off you want, IRS agents instead of high-tech workers. But nonetheless, those are fairly minor effects in the larger scheme of things. The main argument against this Obamacare is it's going to destroy our economy. All the numbers in it are phony. It's going to create a huge amount of debt. But all of that which is true really is going to only have a visible effect in mid-decade. It's not going to have an effect today. So I think, and on the other side, the Obama administration is going to be able to argue. The Republicans have said that the sky is going to fall if this is enacted. Well, it's still intact.
The president said as much today.
So I think the argument is going to be ideological and really theoretical, as it has been up to now, between now and November. And I think the results will be roughly the same, because we're not going to see a lot of change on the ground, at least between now and Election Day.
Quickly, Mara, I want to talk about process. We got through the Senate amendments. The Republicans tried to change the bill, didn't work through the reconciliation process. Tonight, the House will vote on these two minor tweaks. Expected to be, that's it.
And then that's it.
Yeah,
the bill is the law of land, regardless of anything that the House and Senate have done since Sunday night. But yeah, then that's it.
And look at the big taxes, though, Brett. I would disagree with Charles. I think in 2011, like January 1, we're going to see changes that are going to cost a lot, because we'll have had the Medicare tax increase, and we'll have had the health insurance tax. Look, you tax health insurers, what's going to happen? The premiums are going to go up.
I agree, but that's after election.
That's after this fall's election.
And one more point.
Republicans, by the way, are not saying we're going to repeal every single thing. They're just saying that the unpopular parts. They're not saying we're going to repeal health insurance reform.
Yeah, no, I think they are.
You think there was a lock,
you have to repeal the whole thing and start over.
Quickly, before we turn to another topic, you had Eric Cantor, congressman from Virginia, saying that his campaign office in Richmond was shot on Monday with... took a bullet shot through his campaign office, saying that Democrats who are talking about these threats are not helping things as far as the atmosphere. What about this back and forth and the atmosphere up on Capitol Hill?
Look, I think the people who should be commended today are the members of both parties who have come out and condemned any kind of violence or hate language addressed to both parties' members. That's the only response that this merits.
There was an Organizing for America fundraising email.
They really waved the bloody shirt.
It just came out, and it said, other members have had death threats, Democratic offices have been vandalized, please chip in $5 to defend health care reform and those in Congress. This is from the Democrats' fundraising.
It's scurrilous for the Democrats to imply that the violence and the threats are either a one-sided issue, a partisan issue, or a Republican issue. It happens in the country. It's happening on both sides. It always does. It certainly happened in the Bush years, and I never heard Democrats standing up and denouncing it over and over again, as Democrats are demanding today of Republicans. I think this ought to be cooled down and treated as a security issue and not a partisan issue.
Where were the Democrats when Stupak was getting phone calls, death threats, when it looked like he was going to kill the bill? They didn't seem to be upset about that.
For more on health care reform, check out our homepage, foxnews.com/special report. Be sure to vote for your choice online. Topic of the week for Friday's Lightning Round. That's right there on the right side of the screen. We'll be back in about 3 minutes to talk possible changes